Good evening and welcome. Tonight we're going to be diving back into this geography atlas and we'll look at maps of Europe tonight. Here we have a political map of Europe. Let's read what it says. It says, the borders of European countries have changed many times over history as conquering armies advanced and defeated ones retreated. In the 20th century, 2 world wars shook the continent, and conflict and political change continue to shape the continent's borders. Let's look and see what we've got here. Here's the United Kingdom. It's formed of England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Over here is very teeny tiny Andorra. It says the small principality was formed in my goodness, that's a weird grammar typo. The small principality is bordered by France to the north and by Spain to the south. I think that's what they're trying to say. What else do we have? The Balkan countries. It says, let me make sure that you can see everything. There we go. I want you to be able to read with me. The Balkan countries. Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia-Herzegovina, North Macedonia, Montenegro, and Serbia used to be in a country called Yugoslavia. They became separate countries between 1991 and 2006, following years of conflict. Now this is some outdated info, since Great Britain recently left the European Union. But this is what it looked like at the time of the publication of this book. It's like Croatia had just joined in 2013. Turkey, this little piece of Turkey. Geographically, 3% of Turkey lies within Europe, the majority of the countries in Asia. Up here it highlights the Russian Federation. It says Russia is a vast federation or union of states that crosses 2 continents, Europe and Asia. Until 1991, it was a bigger nation called the Soviet Union, which then split into 15 new states. Of these, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Belarus, Ukraine, and Moldova are now independent countries in Europe. I think that's all the little... It looks like it. There's the little tidbit fact down here at the bottom that's really hard to get into frame. It says the Vatican City. Ta-da! Right? Vatican City? No, it's right there. Yeah, because that's Rome. Vatican City. No, Vatican City's in Rome. Duh. Vatican City. The world's smallest country, population around 1,000, became an independent state in 1929. Geographic map. It says, despite its small size, the continent of Europe has an incredibly diverse landscape. To the northwest, east, and south, it is enclosed by mountains. In between lies the North European Plain, which stretches 2,485 miles or 4,000 kilometers from eastern England to the Ural Mountains in Russia. Let's see, we've got a dot here for the largest island in Europe. It is the island of Britain, which contains England, Scotland, and Wales. What else do we have? Here's a dot. Number 3, Lake Ladoga, the largest lake in Europe. Lake Ladoga in Russia. We have Mount Etna right here on Sicily, making sure you guys can see too. It says it's Europe's highest and most active volcano. Etna lies in Sicily, Italy. And over here are the Greek islands, all dotted throughout the Mediterranean. It says this region of Greece is made up of thousands of islands of varying sizes, from Crete, the largest, to tiny uninhabited rocks. Let's see, there's a dot over here for Mount Elbrus. At 18,510 feet, Mount Elbrus is Europe's highest mountain. A snow-covered dormant volcano, it lies in the Caucasus Mountains in southern Russia, on the geographical dividing line between Europe and Asia. Here's a thing about the Danube River, a very important river in Europe. Measuring 1,777 miles, or 2,860 kilometers, the Danube is Europe's second longest river. It rises in Germany and passes through 9 countries before flowing into the Black Sea. Let's see, up here's the longest river, the Volga River in Russia. And here it talks about the Ural Mountains. This 1,553 mile or 2,500 kilometer long mountain range was formed over 280 million years ago and separates Eastern Europe from Asia. Let's see. I think lastly is our little box down at the bottom. It says Europe has a higher ratio of coast to landmass than any other continent or subcontinent. Let's look at some statistics, some fascinating facts. Europe has 14 landlocked countries. They are Andorra, Austria, Belarus, the Czech Republic, Hungary, Liechtenstein, Luxembourg, Macedonia, Moldova, San Marino, Serbia, Slovakia, Switzerland, and Vatican City. Apologies, the airplanes tonight are super loud. I don't know why. Anyway, there are 39 official European languages and many more regional languages and dialects. There are 6 time zones. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The deepest lake is Hornindalsvatnet in Norway. The fastest train is the Frecciarossa 1000 in Italy. The tallest buildings are the Federation Tower in Moscow, the Okeo South Tower in Moscow, the Mercury City Tower in Moscow, the Shard in London, and the Eurasia in Moscow. Didn't realize Moscow was such a skyscraper-heavy city, but I suppose that makes sense. Waterfalls. The tallest is Vinnufossen in Norway. There's a picture of it there. But the largest by volume is Dettifoss in Iceland. Extreme points in Europe. The westernmost point is Bjargtangur, Iceland. Northernmost point is Ostrobrodova in Russia, way up here. The easternmost point is Cape Flissingskaya Novaya Zemlya in Russia. And the southernmost point is Gavdos, Greece. The busiest airport is Heathrow in London. The longest tunnels. The longest railroad tunnel is the Gotthard-based tunnel in Switzerland. We're going to do Switzerland really soon in my series, and I was just reading about how they built this tunnel. It's really interesting. The subway line. The longest subway line is the Serpukovsko line in Moscow. And the longest road tunnel is Lærdal in Norway, which I talked about. The longest bridge is the Vasco da Gama Bridge in Lisbon, Portugal. The biggest glacier is the Severny Island ice cap on the northern island of the Novaya Zemlya archipelago in Russia, I hope. The longest coastline belongs to Norway. The most active volcano we already heard about, Mount Etna in Italy. The highest mountains we already heard about, 1, Mount Elbrus in Russia. Number 2 is Dikhtau in Russia. Number 3 is Mont Blanc in France, Mont Blanc. Number 4 is Daforspitze in Switzerland. And number 5 is Sundsteinspitze in Switzerland. And the tallest bridge is the Millau Viaduct in France. Population map. I like these maps. They're so interesting. Look how thickly populated most of Europe is. Let's read about it. Population. Europe is the world's second most densely populated continent after Asia, of course, with an average of 188 per square mile or 73 people per square kilometer. The majority of Europe's population live in the northern half of the continent. Let's see. Let's go through this list. Europe's largest cities. Number 1 is Istanbul, Turkey, which... Slide this over. Look at the spike. Pew. Number 2 is Moscow. Number 3 is London. Number 4, St. Petersburg. Number 5 is Berlin. Number 6 is Madrid. Number 7 is Kiev, right there. It's hard to tell without the border maps, without the lines. I'm like, where's Kiev? Where's Kiev? Right there. 8 is Rome. 9 is Paris. And 10 is Minsk. There. There's a little picture of Paris down here, but everyone knows what Paris looks like. Let's read some little boxes. We have Murmansk, Russia. Look at this. The largest city north of the Arctic Circle. It has 299,000 inhabitants. And here is Norway. You can see little dots of population. Scandinavia's most sparsely populated country with 42 people per square mile. Here's the Netherlands. With a population of 17 million, this is one of Europe's most densely populated nations at 1,060 people per square mile. There's Iceland over here with just a little boop right there in Reykjavik. This island of volcanoes and icy wilderness has the lowest population density in Europe, 8 people per square mile, or 3 per square kilometer. Very sparsely populated. Here's Spain with Madrid. Look how busy Portugal is. There's Madrid. What a big population center. Madrid. Population density in Spain's capital is 14,000 per square mile. Almost as high as that of London. Over here is Monaco. It's a little tiny place on the coast. It says the small principality is the world's most densely populated nation, with 39,602 people per square mile, or 15,291 per square kilometer. Isn't that something? You've never guessed that's the most densely populated country in the world, huh? Here's Naples. It says, while the city itself has 1 million inhabitants, another 3 million crowd around the shores of the Bay of Naples at the foot of Mount Vesuvius. Over here is Valletta in Malta. Malta's historic capital, occupying a small peninsula of only 0.3 square miles, houses 6,400 people. There's a big old jump for Athens. It says Greece's ancient capital city only has around 664,000 inhabitants, but Athens' whole metropolitan area is home to another 3 million. Let's talk about Istanbul. Spreading out on both banks of the Bosphorus Strait, which divides Europe and Asia, this huge city has a foot in each continent. It says here, Istanbul, Europe's largest city, has a population of 14.7 million people. Its historic center lies on the city's European side. And you can see the Süleymaniye Mosque, the center of Istanbul. Let's see, Moscow. It says around 12.3 million people live within the city limits of Russia's capital city. And for St. Petersburg, only founded in 1703, today this is Russia's second largest city. It has a population of 5.2 million people. And let's see, our little fun fact down here says, of the world's 10 most densely populated locations, 4 are in Europe. They are Monaco, Gibraltar, the Vatican City, and Malta. Because they're so little is why. Let's take a closer look at the Alps. Let's see what it says here. Here's the area on the map we're looking at in more detail. It says the Alps are the highest and most extensive mountain range in Western Europe. Shaped like a crescent, they stretch across 8 countries for 750 miles and are 125 miles wide at their broadest point. Over 100 peaks are in excess of 13,123 feet or 4,000 meters, the highest of which is Mont Blanc on the France-Italy border. There's a little chart here. You can't see. But you guys see, there we go. Mont Blanc, Monte Rosa, Dôme, Weisshorn, and the Matterhorn. Let's find them on here. Let's look through the Alps. So right here in France, we see apparently an artificial lake. Right there. It says, the Lac Serpenson, one of Europe's biggest artificial lakes, was created from 1955 to 61 to prevent flooding. It covers 10.8 square miles and it's up to 295 feet deep. What else do we have? There's a dot here for the highest road. It says at 9,068 feet, or 2,764 meters, Col de l'Isère, France, is only accessible by car in the summer. Tour de France cyclists have struggled over it several times. Yikes, that's an intense one. Here we can see Mont Blanc. On the border between France and Italy, the White Mountain is topped by a permanent cap of snow and ice. A road tunnel runs to the base. Here's the little mountains that we saw on the chart, so let's see. Okay. Red was the Matterhorn. This one is that's purple, right? Yeah, the Weisshorn. Orange is Dôme, and blue is Monte Rosa. What else do we have? Some mountains down here, the southernmost Alps. The Maritime Alps straddle the France-Italy border and run all the way down to the sea. And over here are the French Alps. It says this range sits within France and contains Mont Blanc. Up here is the Po River. There it goes. It says, beginning in the Cotentin Alps, the mighty Po River is fed by several smaller rivers coming down from the Pennine and Lepontine Alps and the Dolomites. Here's a dot. Let's see, for Lake Garda. It says at 142 square miles, Garda is the largest of Italy's great alpine lakes. It reaches a depth of 1,135 feet at its narrow northern end, or 346 meters. And up here are the Dolomites of Italy. It says this mountain range is characterized by spectacular limestone rocks that rise vertically from the valley floor. You can see a picture there. Pretty cool. Let's see if I got everything. Blanc. Oh, I haven't. Right here. The biggest glacier. It says the Aletsch Glacier in Switzerland measures over 2,950 feet or 900 meters at its thickest and is 45 square miles or 117 square kilometers in size, but it is melting every year. All right. And finally, our last little fact down here at the very bottom where you can't see it says the Alps are home to 14 million people and 120 million visitors come to ski, hike, and explore there every year. All right, famous landmarks. Let's go through this. That's my squeaky chair, by the way. Anyway, from prehistoric monuments and Roman ruins to medieval town centers, Gothic cathedrals, and Baroque palaces, Europe has a wealth of architectural treasures from across the ages. Some of its most famous landmarks are natural formations, often protected as national parks. So up here we have Thingvellir National Park in Iceland. There's a cool picture of it down here. It says Europe has 468 national parks. Some are precious habitats or areas of natural beauty, while others contain particular geological formations. Like up here is the Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland. It's a cool picture there of these weirdly shaped rocks up there. Let's see, United Kingdom. The 29 UNESCO heritage sites, I think 28 now, one got demoted recently. The UNESCO heritage sites in England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland include Stone Age monuments, castles, and feats of Victorian engineering. Up here's Edinburgh Castle. Here's, as I said, the Giant's Causeway. We have Brunabóin in Ireland, Stonehenge in England, Big Ben in London. Let's check out France. It says among France's many famous landmarks, 42 are UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Here's the Chartres Cathedral in France, Eiffel Tower, the Palais des Papes in Avignon. You've got down into Spain the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona, Toledo Cathedral, Torre de Belém in Lisbon, and here's Alhambra in Granada. Moorish Alhambra, it says. Many of Spain's landmarks show the country's Arabic heritage, such as the Alhambra Palace and gardens in Granada. Let's move up here. We have the Rhaetian Railway in Switzerland, Hotel de Ville in Brussels, the Kinderdijk Elshout windmills in Netherlands, Aachen Cathedral in Germany, Charlottenburg Palace in Berlin, Kronborg Castle in Helsingør, Denmark. I thought it said Helsinki at first. I was like, no, but it's Helsingør. The Ernstave Church in Norway, Drottningholm Palace in Sweden. Let's see, this is the Petjavesi Wooden Church in Finland, St. Isaac's Cathedral in St. Petersburg, St. Nicholas's Church in Tallinn, Estonia, the historic center of Riga in Latvia, Vilnius Cathedral in Vilnius, Lithuania, St. Basil's Cathedral in Moscow, very famous. It says the Onion Dome churches. Onion domes top many churches in Central and Eastern Europe, the most famous of which is the colorful St. Basil's Cathedral in Moscow. Let's see, here's the Mir Castle Complex in Belarus, St. Sophia Cathedral in Kiev, Ukraine, the Struve Geodetic Ark in Rudi, Moldova, the wooden churches of Marmureș in Romania. Let's move this way. We've got the Vocea in Prešov region of Slovakia. We have the Stephansdom Quarter, Vienna, Austria. There's just too many to look at. That's that one. Prehistoric dwellings. This one. Prehistoric dwellings in Ljubljansko Barje, Slovenia. The Leaning Tower of Pisa in Italy. The Duomo of Florence. The Colosseum of Rome. Pompeii, Italy. The Valley of Tempos and Agrigento, I believe it's pronounced. Let's see this little box here. The Valley of the Temples in Agrigento, Sicily is one of many ancient Greek sites dotted around the Mediterranean. Let's move back up here. We have the Palace of Diocletian in Split, Croatia. We have the Matthias Church in Budapest, Hungary. This one. The Old Bridge of Mostar, Bosnia and Herzegovina. Kotor Old Town in Montenegro. Butrint in Chaunia, Albania. Church of St. John at Kneo in Ohrid, North Macedonia. Meteora, Greece. There's a dot for it. Over here. Oh, apparently there was one at Riga too that I missed. Oh yeah, there's a dot on Riga. Let's read about, well, there's only a few left. There's Meteora, Greece, Staryros and Sopochani, Serbia, the Rila Monastery in Bulgaria, and the Parthenon in Athens, Greece. I think that was everything. My goodness, there's so many landmarks in Europe, isn't there? Buildings. Europe's architectural landmarks, whether in ruins, reconstructed, or in their original glory, all tell fascinating tales of the continent's history and people. So there's Riga, Latvia, and Meteora, Greece. And a little box down here says, of Europe's many landmarks, 453 are designated UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Italy's in first place with 51. The one that got demoted, by the way, was Liverpool, because apparently, according to UNESCO, they weren't keeping up with preservation of the protected sites, so they got demoted. Anyway, climate. Europe's climate varies from subtropical in the south to polar in the north. Western and northwestern parts have a mild, generally humid climate, while Central and Eastern Europe has a humid climate with cool summers. Over here we see the polar easterlies. It says prevailing winds that bring dry, cold air southward from the North Pole. And up here are the prevailing westerlies. Going up this way. It says blowing in a northeastern direction, these winds bring warm air to western parts of Europe. Over here is Glasgow, the cloudiest place in Europe. Glasgow in the United Kingdom is Europe's cloudiest city. It averages only 1,203 hours of sunshine a year. And let's see, down here in southern Spain, we have the hottest place in Europe. The highest temperature recorded in Europe is 122 degrees Fahrenheit or 50 degrees Celsius in Seville, Spain on August 4th, 1881. My goodness. Here's the Sirocco winds coming up from Africa. It says hot air from Africa creates storms over the sea, bringing cloud, fog, and rain to northern Mediterranean locations. Here's the Mistral wind. This is a strong cold wind that blows hardest in winter and spring. Up here is the Föhn. Interesting, it says these warm, strong winds descend from the eastern Alps. I was about to say, why are they going in two different directions? Because they're coming off the mountain tops. The sunniest place in Europe is Malta's capital, Valletta. It averages 2,957 hours of sunshine a year, making it Europe's sunniest city. Here's the wettest. There's no accents here in this name, so I assume it's Črkvica. And Bosnia-Herzegovina is Europe's wettest place. It averages 183 inches or 4,648 millimeters of rain a year. Here's the Bora winds. It says they are cold, typically dry, and often gusty winds blowing down from the mountains on the eastern side of the Adriatic Sea. Look at the rain raining down on Bosnia-Herzegovina. Here are the Etesians. Prevailing summer winds blow over large areas of Greece. Here's the driest place in Europe, in Astrakhan, Russia. On average, it's only 2.5 inches or 62.6 millimeters of rain there per year. It's the coldest place up here. Of course, way up here. The lowest temperature ever recorded in Europe is negative 67 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 55 degrees Celsius in Ust-Shugor, northern Russia. See the precipitation map here. You can see it pretty much rains all the time in Europe. It's a wet place. And I think that's it for the climate. Let's read the little box down here. It says on July 7th, 1889, 8.1 inches or 205.7 millimeters of rain fell at the city of Curtea de Argeș, Romania, in 20 minutes. A world record. My goodness. What was happening in Romania that day? The wildlife. This is my favorite map in each section. Let's read about the wildlife of Europe. In densely populated Europe, there is not much wilderness left for animals to thrive in, but nature reserves and some species' ability to adapt mean that the continent's wildlife is still surprisingly varied. Over here in Iceland, we have the Arctic fox. Thick white winter fur keeps this fox warm and camouflaged in snow and ice. Why don't we head up to Scandinavia? There's humpback whales. It says in winter, Arctic waters provide rich feeding grounds for these migrating whales. There's the reindeer. Both male and female reindeer have antlers. I didn't know that. The Eurasian lynx. Large padded paws prevent this big cat from sinking through the snow. There's a moose. This giant of the forest is commonly seen in Scandinavia and the Baltic states. Up here we have a capercaillie. It's a bird famous for its spectacular courting rituals. Here's a wolverine. Incredibly fierce, this predator hunts in the tundra and northern forests. The Eurasian brown bear. It's just solid bear. Like when you picture a bear, this is what you think of. Found in Scandinavia and Eastern Europe, these omnivores love berries and fresh fish. Here's the Eurasian otter. This web-footed otter catches fish in lakes, rivers, and ponds all over Europe. Here's the white-tailed eagle. Once almost extinct, this enormous bird now soars across northern Europe. The European polecat. This hunter produces a stinky smell to defend its territory. The red fox. Common across the European countryside, this opportunist now also thrives in cities. The European wildcat. Striped, bushy-tailed, and larger than domestic cats, this rare species lives in southern and central forests. The greater flamingo. Mudflats and coastal lagoons are home to these noisy pink birds. Over here we can see the Mediterranean monk seal. Down here it says one of the world's most endangered sea mammals. This seal breeds in underwater caves. And down here are some dolphins. These playful, sociable dolphins travel the Mediterranean in big groups. Up here in Italy we have a wild boar. It says these large bristly pigs are abundant in southern Europe. There's a golden jackal. A hunter and scavenger, it has started to spread north and west from the Balkans. The European bison. Hunted to near extinction in the 1920s, the bison has been reintroduced to the wild. Why is it that it's always bisons that get like almost extinct? Anywhere they go. The roe deer. Small and graceful, this deer is widespread throughout Europe. The gray wolf. The largest of the dog family, wolves live in family packs in isolated, forested areas across Europe. Alpine marmot. These rodents hibernate in burrows for up to 9 months. Here's the European bee eater. Male birds offer the best insect morsels to the females during courtship. Here's the Pyrenean chamois. Close to extinction as its skin was used for chamois gloves and polishing cloths, the numbers have recovered. Here's the Iberian lynx. It says only around 400 remain of the endangered Spanish lynx. Here's the Barbary macaque. A 300-strong colony of Barbary macaques live on the Rock of Gibraltar. Here's the golden eagle. This huge raptor picks and patrols huge territories in less populated areas around Europe. Is that a little nest of babies? I'm guessing. Let's see what's up here. The pine marten. Hollow trees make good homes for this member of the weasel family. There's a badger. Big groups live in sets or underground chambers and tunnels. A basking shark. These are so cool. To feed, this gigantic shark simply keeps its mouth wide open as it swims. It's very prehistoric looking. It looks like unreal. The Irish hare. Modern farming practices threaten this shy nocturnal creature. And the red deer. Scotland has its own subspecies of this large deer, which is common throughout the continent. Let's see if that was all the little animals. I believe so. Alright. Let's read the little fact. It says Europe has only 260 species of mammal left, of which 219 live on land. Let's see, should we read about, what is this? Many of the forests that once covered most of Europe has been replaced by farmland, towns and villages and roads. Wild animals lost their habitats and were hunted, many to near extinction, but today some protected species, such as the gray wolf, are slowly spreading again. Oh, I like this map too. By night. It says this image photo of Europe at night shows where people live. The west of the continent is densely populated. The north and east are relatively uninhabited. Why don't we start down at the bottom this time? Because I think this is the last map. Yep, it is. Let's start in Lisbon. Down here in Portugal. Just over 1/4 of Portugal's 10.8 million inhabitants live in the metropolitan areas of Lisbon. There's Madrid. Madrid's Spain's largest metropolitan area, and 6.3 million people live there. There's a dot here for urban Monaco. This small Principality of Monaco, squeezed into an area of only 0.78 square miles, or 2 square kilometers, is all city. Every one of its 30,581 inhabitants lives in an urban environment. That makes sense. Industrial hub. Milan and Turin, two of Italy's major industrial and economic centers, are home to a combined 6.53 million people. Here's Rome. With almost 3 million inhabitants, Italy's capital is its most populous city. What else do we have? Romania. The country's population is almost evenly split between urban and rural areas, with just over half living in towns and cities. Look at Moscow. Look how it goes pew, pew, pew. Like a little star. It says Russia's capital and its many sprawling suburbs are home to 17 million people. We've got a dot way up here for the empty north. Look at this picture. It says Northern Europe's greatest swaths of forest and tundra are almost unpopulated except for some small villages and isolated industrial centers. You can see it says Scandinavia. Right here it says the relatively small populations of the large Scandinavian countries are concentrated in the main southern coastal cities. The mega metropolitan area. Urban areas of Belgium, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, and Germany's Rhine-Ruhr form a continuous built-up zone. Here's Paris, right there. Ta-da! It says about 20% of France's 62.8 million inhabitants live in the Paris metropolitan area. There's London. It says Europe's third largest city has a population density of 14,290 people per square mile, or 5,518 per square mile. Northwest England up here. This triangle formed by the cities of Liverpool, Manchester, and Birmingham are densely populated. And we have Iceland up here. Very dark Iceland. Reykjavik is almost the only bright spot and is home to 2/3 of the country's population. I think that's it for this map. I believe so. Alrighty. So that's it for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video relaxing and educational. And I hope that you have a very good night.